Ever get that feeling? You know that feeling where, like, you agree to something,
Yeah.
but you didn't really think it through?
Yeah.
Like some invisible force was just like, come on, come on, come on.
Totally.
You're just going along with it.
Yeah, we've all been there. Right.
That's exactly the territory we're diving into today
Okay.
with Robert Cialdini's Influence, the Psychology of Persuasion.
One of the best, yeah.
And we're going beyond the usual book report here, right?
Right.
We want to uncover how these subtle tactics,
Yeah.
the ones that compliance professionals use, how those tactics actually work. How do they work their magic?
Yeah, and it's not like some sort of dark arts or anything like that.
Right.
It's really interesting because it's really rooted in, like, everyday psychology. It's leveraging these automatic responses that we all have.
Right, like those fixed action patterns that Cialdini talks about.
Exactly.
Remember that mother turkey example?
Oh, yeah.
The researchers, they're able to completely flip a mother turkey's instinct to, protect her young
Right.
from polecats.
Wow.
Just by playing a recording of a baby polecat's distress call.
That's wild, yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
It's like, it just totally...
Talk about being tricked by your instincts,
It illustrates perfectly that click horror.
Yeah.
You see a trigger, in this case, it's an audio cue.
Right.
And boom, this specific behavior just follows.
Wow.
Even if it makes absolutely no sense, even if it's like completely at odds with survival.
And in a way, that's what makes us vulnerable to manipulation, right?
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, we're not always in control as much as we think we are.
Right.
Especially with how insanely fast modern life is.
It's true. We're on autopilot so much of the time.
Yeah.
These mental shortcuts, the click, where.
Right.
It's almost essential for navigating the constant barrage of information, decisions we have to make every day.
Every day.
But that, of course, that creates these vulnerabilities, right? And people that are aware of this, they can kind of,
exploit it.
They know how to, exactly.
Which is what makes Cialdini's research so fascinating.
Totally.
I mean, he didn't just sit back and theorize about this stuff.
Yeah.
He went undercover.
He did. He really did.
He embedded himself with salespeople, marketers, fundraisers, all sorts of compliance professionals.
Walks of life, yeah.
To understand their tactics firsthand.
That's amazing.
I mean, talk about dedication, right?
It's what I love about his work.
Yeah.
It's that authenticity, He's not just pulling these ideas out of thin air.
Right.
He's grounding them in real-world observations.
Yeah.
And often, like, really ingenious experiments.
Speaking of experiments, one that just, I don't know, it threw me for a loop.
Okay.
Was the the Joe and the raffle tickets scenario.
Oh, right. Yeah.
I mean, it just goes to show you how, like, even a small, seemingly insignificant favor can trigger this, like, powerful sense of obligation.
Oh, totally.
We'll get into the specifics of that after a quick break.
Okay.
Don't go anywhere. Okay, so back to Joe and his raffle tickets.
Right.
It's just wild to me that people bought more tickets from him, even when they didn't really want them.
Yeah.
Just because
he gave them a Coke.
He gave them the Coke.
No, it's crazy.
It's crazy.
It's so powerful.
It really underscores, like,
it really does,
the power of that reciprocity principle.
Yes.
It's almost like a reflex,
Totally.
Someone does something for us. We're just like,
you feel obligated.
I gotta return the favor.
Totally. Yeah. Even if it's not.
Even if I didn't want it in the first place.
Yeah. Even if you didn't ask for it. Even if you don't want it.
It's like that unspoken rule, right?
Right.
You scratch my back, I'll scratch yours.
Exactly.
Like, it's everywhere.
It's so deeply ingrained.
Yeah.
In our, like, social fabric,
It's true.
Think about how many common expressions we have that revolve around this idea of, like,
Oh, totally.
owing something in return.
What's that?
There's no such thing as a free lunch.
Right.
Quid pro quo.
Yeah.
Like, it's everywhere.
It makes you wonder, like, how far can this go?
That's a great question.
Yeah,
and, Cialdini, he explores this, the darker side of this, through the example of the Jonestown massacre.
Oh.
Remember Diane Louis?
Yeah.
One of the few survivors?
Yeah.
She attributes her survival, in part, to refusing favors from Jim Jones.
You're kidding?
Nope.
She wouldn't take anything from him.
She would not.
Wow.
She would not let herself be indebted to him.
And that was part of what kept her alive.
She believes so, yeah. Because she was not playing by his rules.
Wow. That's both incredible.
It's powerful.
And terrifying at the same time.
It is. It's a very stark illustration of how a principle, rooted in fairness, social harmony, can be twisted for, nefarious purposes.
So if reciprocity is like weapon of influence number one, what's the next tool in the arsenal?
Well, Cialdini outlines 6 principles in total.
Okay.
And we're going to delve into a few more today that I think are relevant to our discussion. But sticking with reciprocity for a moment.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the rejection then retreat tactic.
Oh, yes.
Have you heard of this one?
Yes. This is the classic example of asking college students to chaperone juvenile delinquents on a zoo trip.
Exactly.
I love that example.
It's so good.
Because it's just so out there.
It's so out there.
I know.
And yet it works.
But why does it work?
Well, because, think about it.
Yeah.
You start with this big, outrageous ask.
Right.
Something that most people are just going to say no to immediately.
Right.
And then when you come in with the smaller request, it seems so much more reasonable by comparison.
Like you're meeting them halfway.
Right.
So I feel like I got to meet you halfway.
Exactly.
Okay, well, you're not asking me to, wrangle delinquents for the next 2 years. So chaperoning a zoo trip, fine.
Right, exactly.
Okay, it makes sense.
It's brilliant. It's really brilliant because it leverages not only our sense of obligation, but also our desire to maintain this sense of consistency in our interactions.
Right.
Like, we rejected that first request.
Yeah.
So now we feel compelled to be more agreeable.
Right. Like, I got to smooth things over here.
Exactly.
I got to, get back to that social harmony.
Social harmony, yeah.
Oh, man, this is making me realize I need to be way more aware of this stuff in my own life.
Absolutely. Awareness is key.
Yeah.
And, shifting gears slightly, let's talk about liking.
Okay.
Which, at first glance, seems almost too obvious, right?
It does.
Like, of course, we're more likely to say yes.
To people we like.
To people that we like.
Good.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
But Cialdini goes much deeper than that. And he uncovers these, really surprising nuances.
Like what? Give me an example.
Okay, so for example, you'd think that fake compliments wouldn't really work, right?
Yeah, you'd think people could see right through that.
You would think.
Yeah.
Right, come on.
Like, you don't actually mean that.
But Cialdini found that even insincere flattery can be surprisingly effective.
No way.
Yes.
Really?
So he gives this example of this insurance agent who would give out these cards that just said, I like you.
I like you. That's it.
That's it.
No way. That's so cheesy.
I know.
That's amazing.
But it worked.
What's the psychology behind that? Why would something so simple work?
Well, it goes back to that, that deep human need for connection and validation.
Right.
Like when we receive a compliment, even if it feels, a
little hollow.
A little manufactured.
True, right. It can still trigger that positive emotional response.
Right.
And it makes us more inclined to like that person in return.
Interesting.
And that plays into what's called the halo effect.
Okay.
Which is this idea that we tend to associate positive qualities with people that we find likable.
Okay.
Even if those qualities are totally unrelated.
So let me get this straight.
Yeah.
So if some random insurance agent compliments, I don't know, my taste in podcasts, I'm suddenly more likely to trust their judgment on our car insurance.
It could happen.
Isn't that wild?
It is. It's fascinating. Wow.
And it's not just about verbal compliments.
Okay.
Cialdini talks about how similarity plays a huge role in this.
Right, like that whole...
Birds of a feather.
Yeah, birds of a feather flock together.
Exactly.
Okay.
We're drawn to people that share our interests.
Right.
Our values.
Yeah.
Even our mannerisms.
Really?
Yeah, think about it.
Okay.
You're more likely to, connect with someone who laughs at the same jokes as you, or who has similar taste in music, things like that.
That makes sense.
And what's even more fascinating is that people that are skilled in persuasion, they use this to their advantage.
Okay.
They will subtly mimic your body language,
Oh, really?
your tone of voice, even your word choices, to create that sense of rapport and connection.
You're telling me people are out there, like, mirroring me?
Maybe.
To get me to like them?
It's possible.
This is getting a little creepy.
It can feel that way, I know.
Yeah.
But, think about it this way. We are constantly sending and receiving these subtle social cues.
Right.
Often unconsciously.
Right.
So while some people might consciously be, exploiting these tendencies, it's often just about, establishing rapport, creating a more, comfortable, engaging interaction.
Okay, that makes me feel a little bit better.
Okay, good.
But it is wild to think about, how much is going on beneath the surface.
Absolutely.
Of, our everyday interaction.
All the time, yeah. It's amazing what we pick up on.
We've got one more weapon of influence to uncover.
We do.
And it's a big one.
It is a big one.
We're going to dive into the fascinating world of social proof.
Okay.
Right after this short break, so stay with us. All right, so we're back. And it's time to tackle that final weapon of influence on our list.
Okay.
Social proof.
Right.
That whole everybody's doing it phenomenon.
Right, exactly.
Cialdini uses the example of a nightclub.
Okay.
With, a line snaking around the block.
Right.
Even though there's plenty of room inside.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like, why are we standing out here?
Why are we doing this?
Because
if everyone else
is doing it,
they must know something.
Yeah. They must know something I don't.
Right.
So I got to get in on that.
It's that fear of missing out, right?
Oh, yeah. Big time FOMO.
FOMO in action.
Exactly.
You see that crowd, your brain just goes,
must be the place to be.
Something good's happening here.
Exactly.
I don't want to miss out.
And well, I guess that's harmless in that situation.
Yeah.
Right? Who cares if we're waiting in line for a nightclub?
Right.
This tendency to just follow the crowd can sometimes lead us down some,
Oh, absolutely.
questionable paths.
It's like blindly following the herd, even if the herd is,
Headed right off a cliff.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
It reminds me of that story.
Which one?
That awful story about the woman who fell into a ditch.
Oh, yeah, right.
And no one stopped to help.
Yeah, so sad.
Because everyone just assumed someone else would do it.
It's that bystander effect, right?
That's what it is. And it's it's terrifying to think that that's a thing.
That social proof can actually hinder helping behavior.
Right. Sometimes it's better to be the only one doing the right thing.
Totally.
Than to just go along with everyone else.
Than to just be a bystander, yeah.
So how do we become more aware of this, in our daily lives?
Well, I think just understanding that this principle exists, that's huge, It's about pausing.
Yeah.
Taking a breath.
Okay.
And asking yourself, am I really doing this because I want to?
Okay.
Or am I just kind of going along with the crowd?
Taking back control. Yeah.
Taking control back from that click, whir.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I like that.
Just that awareness, I think, is so important.
Okay, so we've explored these fascinating psychological principles.
We have.
Right. These weapons of influence.
Yeah.
We've gone really deep.
Yes.
But how does this all come together for our listeners?
Okay.
What's the takeaway?
The takeaway is to be a more conscious participant in your own life.
Okay.
How you're influenced and how you influence others.
Okay.
And it's important to remember these principles aren't inherently good or bad, right?
Right.
It's all about how they're used.
Right. It's a tool.
It's a tool.
Yeah.
Use it for good or for evil, it's up to you.
Right, like that example with the, wasn't it a Vicks Formula 44 commercial?
Yes. Oh, I love that one.
With the actor dressed up as a doctor?
Exactly.
Just because someone looks the part?
You can't just assume.
Doesn't mean they're an authority.
Doesn't mean they're an expert, right?
Exactly.
And I think that's a big part of this,
Yeah.
Being a critical thinker.
Right.
Questioning your assumption.
Where's the evidence?
Where's the evidence, right? Don't just blindly follow.
Don't just go along with it.
Authority figures or the herd.
Yeah, exactly.
To yourself.
Be informed. Be aware.
Yes.
And most importantly, be empowered.
I love that.
To make those conscious choices.
That he said.
This deep dive into influence has been eye-opening, to say the least.
It really is. It's like...
What a book.
It's like you're seeing the Matrix, you know?
Yeah.
You can't unsee it.
And the thing is, it's just the tip of the iceberg.
Right. Oh, absolutely.
We've given them a taste.
This is a little taste, yeah.
But the more you understand these principles, you'll start to see them
everywhere.
Everywhere.
In every aspect of your life.
It's like having a secret decoder ring for human behavior.
I love that. That's a great way to put it.
And with that, we've reached the end of our deep dive.
Wow!
We hope you've enjoyed this exploration of influence.
Me too.
Remember, knowledge is power.
Yes.
Until next time.